Hey guys, this is today's gear. Gonna do the Wolfman again. What does that say? Victory or death? Dr. Jon's is the maker. Volume 3 is version 3 of his soap base. Really nice soap base, kind of some animalistic notes. I've used it once before and I enjoyed it so much that I am deciding to repeat it. Personna Red, 12 uses maybe is what this one's on currently, and found another razor laying around to try it on. This one does not have a super firm grip from the bottom. This is the typical DE89 type razor. This is the Maggard's head and the V3 head, but you see this type of design on so many other razors that it just applies to the Muley and the Edwin Jagger DE89 series by Lee from AliExpress, and Yaki have very similar heads, so the shave may apply across the board there. And this is a Facone handle that I got. Facone had an eBay presence a few years ago, and they were selling a bunch of handles, and apparently I found them right before they quit selling these stainless handles at a great price. I just brought limited brushes with me on my current trip, and so I am revisiting another one. Same one I used yesterday, the Semogue limited edition 2020 from the Shave Nook. It's a boar brush from a Semogue, and it has the premium bristles, and it's the same premium bristles that you might find in like the 2000, the 1305, the 830. With the 2000, it's similar to that size, except the loft on the 2000 is a little on the longer side, and this is reduced a little bit. And I think a lot of people might enjoy this brush, this setup quite a bit. All right, let's get busy. Let's put that blade in the razor. It is late and I need to go to bed. I may even, if this starts feeling iffy on my face, I'm probably just going to call it and just do 2 passes. Because the DE89, like I said, doesn't have a lot of grip on the blade edge, close to the edge. See how these verticals are right here? They don't go very close to the blade edge, so the blade hangs out, and this whole system relies on the top cap to bend the blade over, which is fine, but then it just doesn't. It relies on that spring tension to hold the blade in close to the top or by the top cap. And so sometimes that gives guys different feelings. The blade at the microscopic level can vibrate, so you can actually hear it, give you audio. I prefer a quieter blade because that means it's being stable and more consistent, that sort of thing. So most of my razor choices reflect that. Not too much to the soap. Pretty plain kind of taupe color or like beige color. And let me get my face wet and then we'll load up. Just had this boar brush soaking for a couple minutes. It may not be very much. I may be in for a more scrubby shave than usual, but we'll just go at it. Let's do a 25-second load, 40 right there. That's cool. So we'll just go to the 05 mark. And I can really feel how the brush is not really wanting me to press too much harder than this. I could if I wanted to, but it would take just more pressure than I might think I want to put on it. The 25 seconds is going pretty fast. And there we go, right there. And just in case I did not load for long enough, I took all that excess in there and made sure that it flopped into the bowl. Let me clean this up. It's a good scent. You'll have to look in the description for the scent notes. I know it's got some musky, animalistic notes to it. He is combining the some kind of World War II propaganda motif with the monster type motif of the Wolfman for his artwork. All right. It's a vegan soap and a really good soap base. Even if you disregard that it's a vegan soap, I think it compares well to many tallow soaps. I definitely have sampled tallow soaps that are inferior in performance to this soap base. It is a thirsty soap, so don't be afraid to try water with Dr. Jon's, especially his volume 2. I remember that one being quite thirsty, and I don't know if as he is refining his soap base, if he's doing like many of the artisans are doing and making it easier to lather, aka it doesn't require as much water, often is the case. Not pressing down a whole lot. I don't like to pump. Some people do that. Some people pump. I'm pressing down like this, not a very much of a pumping action at all. I'm kind of shoving the lather up into the knot. And I'm only flexing it maybe 40%. It's a good way to mix the lather, because if you can get the wet lather up into the brush, then it can mix with perhaps some drier soap concentration lather and just help with circulation, you know, to make sure we get a good mix. You can change it up, down, back, forth, circles one way, circles the other way, figure 8 pattern, whatever you feel like. It's not rocket science. You just want to agitate. And look at that. We have noticed the textures and the look of it there. It's got a lot of contours. And I know that his soap, I like to get it to where maybe it's not quite as contoury, it's smoother. Hydrate it such that the water causes it to loosen up a bit. You can decide where you like your own lather. Yeah, I like that. It's a new seasonal in 2020, I believe. This one is. See, now those contours are starting to soften up some. Three and a half teaspoons of water total in the lather now. All right, let's just use this. Okay. I'm gonna get my face a little damp before we put on that first pass. Yeah, a few days ago I used the vintage Gillette old type, and I did kind of predict that it was going to be a little bit irritation inspiring, and it sure was. Recently I used the 40s style Super Speed from Gillette. Another vintage choice. And it kind of did what I thought as well. Get a lot of backbone here from the brush. Dipping back in to kind of get some more suds for this side of my face. I have an oily complexion, and so I'm sure that that oil dispels, kills many of these first time lathers that I've put on. So that's why I like, another reason why I like the bowl, because I can just kind of dip in, get more lather, bring more soap to the game, and eventually those skin oils will get overwhelmed and give up. Feeling a good bit of the backbone here. And unfortunately, when you do have a lot of backbone, then that can kind of behave in a springy way and cause your lather to fly off sometimes. You can mitigate that a little bit by moving a little slower. Also watch your brush. If you get a piece kind of around the sides here that's starting to get a little big, then you may want to kind of fold it around and make sure it stays on your face instead of continuing to work just the tips of your brush. My hair is all flying out today. Took a shower and then I can just kind of let it air dry because I was just kind of hanging around with the kids today and I didn't care. So it got all poofy. Oh, looks like I have a little, I'm still a teenager. I have a blemish. I guess that's what that is. I don't think I cut myself there the other day. I don't shave in that area, so it shouldn't be. Because of the fact that this blade's not really clamped down very well. In terms of the bottom part of the blade, I am kind of thinking this could be a touchy shave. However, this edge, because it's on the 12th use or so, it's definitely been smoothed out some. It's not quite as acute as it might have been in the first couple of uses. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to get, but let's just try it and see. This is definitely a good one to show to you guys because a lot of people use these DE89 type heads. And what I think is a real shame is that there are companies out there who take these Chinese heads, give them a story and a cool website, some jargon about manliness, and they try to push this Chinese razor on you for, $50. They'll say stainless, but usually what they're talking about is the handle, or they may say all brass construction there. Most of the time they're talking about their handle. And once you get used to looking to what the profile here of this razor, there we go, I can put it against the light there, then you'll see it everywhere. See the curve down below here, and the 2 points kind of where it connects with the top cap, the under part of it as well, and you'd be able to identify that, and then you're well on your way to not getting fooled. That went pretty well, but that was just the first pass, and that usually is much more tolerant of a more aggressive stance, but it went well. All right. So you see there's not much of a knot here, so that's why I press it down lightly into the lather to start to fill up the brush. Very slick shave today. Very wet, hydrated lather. Many people do not take a lather this far in terms of hydration. I encourage you to play with it and just try it out. You may not like, you may prefer a thicker lather. I'm not saying my way's right, but I think everybody should play around. And I've played around with thicker lathers too. Experiment. Make sure you're not missing something that you might really like. Yeah, it is definitely getting some blade feel. I feel like if I'm not careful, I could end up with some razor burn or a good cut. I don't really like that feeling, and that's kind of that tenuousness that you get with this type of razor head. But some people, and I think what happens is for those people who, it's like a chain of events. If you like to face lather, for instance, then you see this goopy, drippy lather you see me have. That is very frustrating to hydrate a face lather to that point. And so a lot of guys just don't. And so if you're face lathering, many guys overload with soap their brushes so to try not to run out by the end of the shave. And so they have a very high concentration of soap to the water ratio. The soap is just not nearly anything like what you're seeing here. And so it's I think it can tend to irritate people's skin, dry out people's skin. So those are some after effects, some side effects. And also because of that thicker lather, I think many guys need a more aggressive razor to be able to cut through that thickness, because that the guard bar and stuff tends to ride maybe a little higher because of that extra thickness that they have in the lather. Whereas me, with such high hydration levels, I am really able to get very close to my skin. And so that's why I really stay toward the layer of the aggression level of the mild razors, or those ones that cut efficiently while still kind of behaving in a mild way. Those balanced razors or the mild ones. And so that, because you have that thick lather, that could reverberate down your shave and cause you to have certain processes or techniques or other pieces of equipment, different types of aggressiveness in your razors. It could have those secondary chain effects there. All right, let's rinse. Because this is a really wet lather, I ended up dabbing my face dry between each pass just to make sure that it didn't get overly wet. It would have performed fine, but I did do that. And the 25 was kind of, look at the sheen there on that lather. The 25 seconds turned out to be great, especially with this kind of touchy razor with the blade in it. I don't think it's one that I'd really want to use on a daily basis. I'm just going to touch up this trouble spot right here, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't really want to risk more irritation to my face. This was just not a good combo. I kind of expected that, like I said in the beginning, but I wanted to try it anyway. I think Tom and Peter having a discussion on one of my recent videos. I think it may have been the Massacre of the Innocents one, where they're talking about one of them, I think it was Peter, who was watching these videos with this blade because he's a big fan of some of the Personas. And I think that's what he said. I'm a little confused. And I think Tom joined in answering his question about, because some of the Personas are just really confusing. They definitely do different appearance containers for different markets. And so you could have the same blade be in two different kind of containers and have it be available. And that used to be not as big of a deal when we weren't sharing international markets. You know, the guys in the UK had their version of the Persona Platinums, and the European maybe shared that same one, and then we had the North American version, and the colors may have been different, and just marketed differently. But now that you can buy worldwide stuff, we're starting to see some overlap and confusion. And so sometimes people say, well, these are the same ones, and they're really not. You can have people say they're the same, and then there's another group of people that say, I'm a faithful follower of this Israeli red, and then people say this one is the same, and it just feels totally different, and you never know whether it's the truth, whether they know exactly what they're talking about, or it's the power of suggestion, or who knows. And so there is a lot of confusion with some of the Personna blades out there. I don't know if some people definitely say that these Israeli reds are duplicated out there in some form. I don't know for sure which one it might be, though. But I also know that this one is a really nice blade sometimes. And when it's not a nice blade, it's not a nice blade. Like today. Not a good match for this Maggard V3 head. Likely the same if I were to try it in my Edwin Jagger DE89. That kind of thing. So I definitely would not be using it. See, and that's how you can get a real dichotomy of some people who say, I love the Israeli red. And another group of people said, not good for me at all. Because it does that with different razors. It really could be. Even if you discounted the fact that people's skin, face, and hair is all different, and the lathers they use are different. Just the fact that if I were to use this in, I can't remember exactly which, the vintage Gillette Tech was a wonderful razor to use with this Israeli red. If I were to have a group of people that use Techs a lot, then they might be big fans of the Israeli red. And then if I had another group of people who love this kind of razor, then they might say, it sucks, it's too rough, it's too aggressive, it's too catchy and irritating. And that's just with a variable of different razors coming into play. And then when you add other variables, things can get very different. And so that's why you can have people have such big issues, big different experiences with the same blade. And I am going to stop at 2 passes, even though I really enjoyed the Lather. That's a wonderful scent. It is very light. It's not a heavy scent, and that's kind of cool because with being kind of animalistic and musky, it could overwhelm if it was stronger, but I kind of wish it were a little bit stronger. I'm going to go to bed, so it doesn't really matter if I try to match or have a nice little story with my aftershave. Trying to make something work well with the soap and be pleasing and all that. We'll just have a nice Tuscany from Stirling scent. And the soap scent here was so light, it's not conflicting at all. Like I said, I had to reuse a soap because I didn't pack as many to have a different one each day, and that's fine. I enjoyed the soap again, and I also chose to use this brush again because it's young and it needs a good many uses. So I definitely didn't have a problem going back to this guy again. He is still not all that enjoyable because of his backbone and density, but I'm certain that's going to change maybe in the next 20 or 30 shaves. So that was a 25-second load, and I used 3.5 teaspoons of water, and that was a very slick shave. I think highly hydrated. I might next time back up on that a little bit, 3 teaspoons perhaps of water with a 25-second load. Might be about right. Tuscany smells nice. And I'm pretty much done packing up everything. I really enjoyed the Wolfman soap. Dr. Jon's just does a great job. I'm glad I got to bring you the DE89 style head with this Personna red. And it's, to me, to my skin at least, it's not that enjoyable. As a matter of fact, very few experiences make me only do 2 passes. Just because I don't want to bother my skin and I just want to quit. And this is one of them. I kind of felt like I would give myself some irritation if I kept going, and I'm pretty sure I would have. Right now, I think I'll walk away with very little irritation at all. So happy camper there. You guys take care. Hopefully, this video's got some good info for you, something to help you out in some way. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.